understand of her situation before we listen to the first video. She works at a job. The job has a very small team of people, okay? For a long time, everything went smoothly at this job. She loved her manager, she loved her team, hunky-dory, wonderful. Well, the manager, I don't remember if she was fired, moved on, whatever, she's gone, okay? The manager she loved, gone. They replaced her with this other woman, and for whatever reason, according to Allison, this woman has had it out for her since she arrived, okay? I don't know that that's not true, because I wasn't there. Maybe she did. From the recording, she doesn't sound like she's the nicest person to talk to, but we'll see. Either way, Allison feels like this woman has had it out for her since she arrived. They don't get along. Personalities don't mesh, okay? And then there is a situation where Allison is getting ready to go on a week-long vacation. And, I'm sorry. Let me back up. When first manager leaves, because Allison is the senior team member, they gave a lot of the responsibilities of the manager to Allison. Okay. Mm-hmm. New manager arrives. They never removed those responsibilities from Allison to give them back to the manager. They were expecting her to still do most of them.
And this is all alleged. This is all alleged, by the way.
This is all alleged. Per Allison. This is all per Allison. Okay. Per Allison. So then we have conflict there because Allison feels like she's in a role that she needs to be holding herself to this higher standard, even though she's not a manager. And I feel like this might be where her lens is focused, right? She feels all this responsibility to make sure these things are done. And apparently, while she's getting ready to prep for vacation, she's been, setting up things so that people don't have to wonder what needs to be done while she's gone. Okay. The manager, she asked the manager to meet with her before she leaves to discuss how her tasks are going to be covered while she's gone so that she doesn't come back to complete chaos when she gets back. Manager says she'll do it. Apparently that meeting never takes place because when Allison goes to check in with her 2 days before she's leaving for vacation, that manager's email sends her back a out of office thing saying she won't be back until sometime in the middle of Allison's vacation. Okay. This upsets Allison. Allison takes it upon herself to then work another 5.5 hours of overtime past her shift to create this system and these notes.
Notes, yep. To basically like a laundry list of this is what I've been working on. Here's how to finish these tasks.
This is what I expect to be done essentially when I come back, right? Like this is what you need to do my job while I'm gone. Okay. Again, small team of 5. Keep that in mind. Okay. What we're about to listen to is Allison's recording, which we're going to get into how we all feel about that. Allison's recording of a phone meeting between her and this new manager of hers. What prompted this meeting is that when Allison returned from vacation, nothing was done that she had asked to be done. Or it wasn't done to her standard or whatever she was expecting. She walked into something different.
Yeah, her expectations weren't met, and she also was upset that the manager went on vacation or went out of office, or, took PTO without telling her, supposedly without telling her.
So this is the context for what you're about to hear, and we're going to get into it right now. So here we go. Here's Allison.
Why did you say that we can meet to discuss coverage and then go out of office without telling me?
I don't recall having that happen. Everybody else knew I was going to be gone, so apparently you missed the meeting where we talked about it.
Where was it talked about?
In casual conversation. And
like, I should be aware of these things, Like, I should have some awareness to it if my manager's not going to be here.
How would you?
Okay, we're going to pause.
Okay, and for next time, when you unpause, can you make it a little bit louder?
I can't, unfortunately. That's as loud as it
Mhm.
can be. The recording she has, she's talking very softly, and the manager's also like far away on the phone, so it's not very good audio quality. I will try to boost it in post, so hopefully you guys can hear it. But that, I'm sorry, it's as loud as I can make it.
Okay.
Let me see if it'll audio.
Because I can hear it, but I'm not sure if people can hear it in relation to us.
Yeah, I will boost it in post. I'm gonna have to edit this anyway, so I will boost it in post. So, real quick, I want to make one comment. We're seeing here that Allison's obviously very upset, and she feels like this manager should have told her that she was leaving, right? And in this context, if this is all you heard, right? I already don't like the manager.
Yeah.
Don't say you obviously missed that meeting. Don't say well, it was in casual conversation. When somebody asks you or tells you, "Hey, I'm getting ready to leave. I would like to have a meeting with you so that I can discuss what my expectations are while I'm gone, or what expectations I should have while I'm gone," right? As someone who likes to seek understanding, don't be dismissive and be like, "Oh, well, you must have missed it, or it was in casual conversation." We're not going to remember it in casual conversation, okay? There's a reason why we asked for the meeting. So maybe don't be dismissive about it. We're not seeing the manager in very good light. But it's an 8-minute video. So just, saying that. Do you kind of feel the same about that, Amanda?
Yeah, especially because she's like, from what I understand, Allison asked for a meeting to discuss her upcoming vacation. The manager said, "Okay, I'll do the meeting." And now the manager's saying, "Well, I guess you missed the meeting." And so
missed the meeting where she said she was going to be gone, because she's
gone.
mad that
Okay.
she never got the meeting with the manager,
like,
because the manager took off and went on vacation and never told her
right.
she was leaving.
That should have been email. Like you could have been like, "By the way, I'm going to be out of the office, starting from this date." Like that's
right.
That's obviously, I don't know how this company does it, but like I thought that was just general protocol. You don't just randomly tell somebody I'm gonna be out of office and expect everyone in the office to know if what Allison is saying is true, right?
Right. Because again, this is a small team of 5, and it sounds like Allison feels a lot of responsibility to be in a management role when the manager's not there, because she's been given that responsibility
And
in the
she's been
past.
there longer. At this point, she said that even the caption in the video says, "I've been there at this point of this meeting." Excuse me, of this phone call, 1.5 years, and the manager had only been there 3 months.
3 months, right. So they're still getting to know each other at this point. So I just feel like we've already had breakdown in communication, but let's continue.
Would you like to be made aware?
To be told, like.
Okay.
What meeting was this information shared on that I wasn't a part of? Like, where?
We have team meetings all the time, and we talk about all kinds of stuff. So
I met with you on Wednesday, and you gave me no information that said that you were going to be gone the rest of the week. You said we can meet to discuss coverage, and so I was under the impression we would be doing that.
For that miscommunication.
I expected that, the responsibilities for my position would have been covered.
And that's not what I'm asking. I need you to be specific with me, Allison. I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here. Did you expect everything in the inbox to be gone? No, but I expected at least some stuff to be gone. I made this whole list of items that were being worked on, and I highlighted a couple that I wanted to make sure were resolved, and they weren't, as far as I can tell, they weren't taken further. There were just some things that could have been. One of those, please. I don't know why I spent so much time trying to make notes for all.
Here, pause this real quick.
I'm going to. Yeah, I was about to. I was trying to get my mouse to wake up. I have so many thoughts.
Yeah. So the captions in the video, because she's giving us context as well. So basically, the manager keeps interrupting her. Granted, she keeps interrupting her manager, but the manager keeps interrupting her, and so she has context of she has a TBI. She claims that the manager knows she has a TBI, and so when she's interrupted, she already has a hard time forming her thoughts, which to me, she seems very well spoken to me, but obviously she probably had a lot of practice in her head of what she was going to say during this phone call. And I've done that. Granted, I haven't had a TBI, but and she said that when she gets interrupted, it's hard for her to like clearly convey her thoughts and like what she's trying to say. So she keeps getting, if she sounds kind of like all over the place, that's why, according to her. So the other thing was, she asked her manager to do 2 things and neither were done. And then that was the other caption. And so she said I think she mentions this later in the call, she worked 5.5 hours of overtime to, like, she was supposed to get off at noon on Friday, like the week before her vacation, to compile this list of notes and like all the stuff that, like, hey team, these are my tasks that I would like you to do while I'm gone. So that's basically all the captions that we see, like, during the conversation.
So here's my first thought. You can obviously tell she's still upset. She's getting flustered. We have context as to why, right? Because I relate so heavily to this situation right now, because I was her. I was her at my job.
I've been her too. So
I was her. I very clearly can see what's happening here now, being on the other side of it, knowing how this went down for me and what was worth it and what was not. She's made 2 fatal mistakes here. 1, she's expecting something of a team that is not everyone else's understanding of how things should go down. She has an expectation that no one else has, which is, while she's gone, she shouldn't have to come back to a bunch of work that she should be doing.
I will say
things people are doing while she's gone.
I will say, okay, so I agree with that, because it's like, okay, I understand that you want some of your work to be done because, like, while you're gone, so you don't have like a million stuff to do when you're gone. She did make it, I'm not sure if it's this video or another video, where she explains that, I guess, according to her team policy, company policy, because they have a team of 5, it's like a team of 5 within like a larger company. And so there's like, I'm assuming there's multiple teams with managers of each team. So I guess from what I understand, the context I get is that, like, they're made aware that they, like, if someone on the team is out of office, then the other team picks up their slack. Now, granted, they have their own work and they can't completely pick up that person's slack. So basically, I'm like, where do you see, do you see, like, do you get the impression that she expected them to do everything, or at least a reasonable amount of her job while she was gone?
She said she didn't expect everything to be done, but at least some things to be done. And later on, she mentions like these older requests that were in the email that should have been processed a long time ago that she kept asking her manager to check on and never did. And the manager never did, which that would legitimately piss me off.
Yeah, been there, done that.
It has legitimately pissed me off. Exactly. I've absolutely been in that situation. But speaking from a bird's eye view situation, knowing I've been in her shoes, the first fatal mistake was her having an expectation that nobody else had, right? And not being able to clearly communicate that to anybody, which is partially her own fault and partially her manager's fault. Partially her own fault because her expectation of the situation is way too high. In general, it's way too high, okay? Because she has such high expectations for herself, she assumes everybody else operates like that as well, okay?
And as someone who's been there, like, where I get annoyed when other people seem to like coast, and I'm not saying her team coasted or anything. Obviously, we don't know what they did while she was on vacation. We don't know what their perspective was. So, but as someone who has, like, as you said, like, we have like a higher expectation of ourselves. We're kind of like perfectionists in that way, and we expect other people to be that way. And so sometimes we have a hard time reconciling that like there's other people that just come in, do their tasks, and just go home. Right. Whereas we will go above and beyond, even though we're not asked, because Brian, the Life After Layoff guy, he even said that, and we'll probably bring this up if we watch that part of his video, where he said, which he says that he doesn't know if they approved her overtime. Like, he's like, as a
Yeah.
manager, I would be kind of miffed. I was like, but obviously we don't know if they, because she keeps saying, I worked 5.5 hours of overtime to compile these notes. And so we don't know if they expected her to do that, if she told them she was going to do that, if they approved that. And so,
Right.
like, that could be an issue. But it's also like, obviously the manager, like, she mentions multiple times, I worked 5.5 hours of overtime to get these notes ready. And the manager just to kind of push back against Brian, which I know we haven't heard from him yet. The manager never says, I don't remember that the manager never says, we didn't ask you to do that. Like, or we didn't approve of you doing that. So I feel like they didn't care that either they didn't care that she did that or they approved that she would do that. So
I think when we finish this, my own personal opinion is that I think she had other fish to fry at this point, and the 5.5 hours of overtime was like the last thing she was worried about. But I'm going to sit here and tell you right now, I don't know how that company runs. And I don't know how a lot of companies run, but I know for a fact that 5.5 hours of fucking overtime is not pennies. Okay. And most companies are not just going to let you work 5.5 fucking hours of overtime because you want to write notes for your team that no one asked you to write. Okay. That's where I'm at. I have done this shit. I have come in on my days off and worked for hours and hours and hours on shit no one asked me to work on, because I felt I was trying to be helpful. I wanted to be helpful. And then when it wasn't appreciated, I was pissed off. Or when someone ruined all the work I did by making a mess of it, I was pissed off, right? That's my problem, because I should have never walked in the door on my day off and spent my time with my family doing shit for a job and for people that weren't going to appreciate it. So whose fault is it? It's my own. And that is an unfortunate fucking lesson that we have to learn as adults navigating the workplace with brains like ours. Like you said, we are the ones who want to go above and beyond all the time. Not every situation deserves our above and beyond. Not every person deserves our above and beyond. And it is something most of us will struggle with until we figure it out the hard way or something clicks for us, right? She's figuring it out the hard way, that the 5.5 hours she spent was wasted time.
Mm-hmm.
And she's now upset, which is understandable because I have been upset. I literally have been her. There's a reason why I wanted to talk about this. It's not just to read this woman for filth, okay? It is because it brings up so many parallels to my own life when I was working. I have been her. But because I have been her and have had time to process, I can tell you this is not the way to go. She's upset because she's realizing I fucked up by giving them my time and they didn't even give a fuck. She's just now figuring this shit out. She's in her 20s, from what I understand, early 20s. So she's probably
mid to late 20s.
A lot of this shit out.
Probably mid to late 20s if she's had if she has a master's and everything. She's probably
mid to late. You're right. Mid to late 20s. You're right. So I know she hasn't hit 30 yet, because she mentioned something about being in her 20s at some point in one of the videos I watched. Anyway, that's all I have to say on that. So let's finish up. We've got a long way to go on this.
Yeah, we're not gonna listen to this whole video. We're not gonna listen to this whole thing, but we can probably skip forward at some point.
Yeah. So this current thing that's on the screen says, this was her other fatal mistake, and we'll get to it. She name drops her company and her parent company and her manager. And I'm going to tell you why she should have never done that later. But just letting you know, she has officially name dropped them. And now she's upset, saying this is how this company in person think a new director should speak to a disabled employee.
Yeah.
She's using now, well, I'm disabled, so you can't talk to me that way, which I have a whole other fucking issue with, but here we go.
And then I'm just kind of left out without any knowledge of what happened or...
Well, but that's what teams do. So when we have processes that we follow, and when we're all following the same process, you have a question about something, we know where to go look. And so that there is no need to provide really long, lengthy, detailed correspondence about what I did.
I feel like if I take the time.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Because I
basically
will say
sounds
this.
like don't tattle on me. She's like basically saying don't tattle on me. It's like
Right.
it sounds like.
Yes, there is, because I'm sure it's been discussed previously that she needs detailed instructions to be able to understand the scope of her job. So that is an accommodation, a workplace accommodation that she's mentioned in other videos that her old manager used to give her. She would always give her a heads up when things were going to happen, and she would always make sure she detailed her descriptions of what the scope of her job was or what her expectations were so that she understood fully.
I understood.
This is something I needed at my job that I never got.
It sounds like she's like, there's no need to provide these lengthy, detailed, like correspondence of what I did. So it sounds like
right.
Allison, like typed up like everything that happened because we know that she went to the director. So it's like
she went above her manager's head.
Yeah, which is also like something that was a no in my company was you don't go. Which I also like. I understand Allison because like I had a hard time with because it's like okay, but if my manager is not, I'm not just talking about the manager I had when I got fired. I'm talking about like other managers. Like okay, but if I'm on par with my manager's not doing anything, who am I supposed to talk to? Right. So like I get where she's coming from with that. She just obviously she basically takes every step that I have taken in my life, but just one step too far.
Too far. And this situation, though, she didn't even bother talking to her manager about this when she got back. She returned to work and immediately realized shit wasn't done and immediately emailed the director, went above her manager's head. Didn't bother to talk to the manager. And then this came back around to the manager from the director saying, you better fucking deal with this shit, essentially. And then this is the result.
Yeah.
So.
But you got to figure out how to keep track of your emails.
That pissed me off.
In my notes, I said, I want to ensure the startup team's clinic lists are updated. They've been using outdated lists.
And her message is September 15th.
Yes, I've mentioned it several times.
Well, clearly, it's not registering, and she should be the one that's. I don't understand what the problem is. The problem is I've asked multiple times if I can work with her to get an updated list for her team to use. And did you not just tell me that you have already provided them a list from now? Yes. I don't know if that's what they need or not. And I was just hoping that you could follow up with her, like manager to manager, and like make sure we get on the same understanding. I think your expectations are inappropriate.
That's where we're at. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to stop it there. So I think your expectations are inappropriate. I'm sorry. You're going to probably be really mad at me, but I agree with the manager. Her expectations are inappropriate for the setting that she's in. They are. Is it well-intentioned? Absolutely. Is she just trying to be helpful? Yes. I truly believe that. I truly believe that the reason why this woman, Allison, is so upset has nothing to do with the fact that she has some vendetta against this woman initially, or that she has some vendetta against her company. She's genuinely upset because she feels like she was trying to be helpful and no one gave a fuck. And now that she's coming back to chaos. Also during this time, later on, you're going to see that, or later on in this video, if you want to watch the whole thing, she talks about how there were requests that weren't filed, a list of requests, and she's like, I'm coming back to utter chaos. And
and she said that like, and the manager says like the request system they have is unstable. And then
because they're going through an IT change essentially. So there was no point in trying to put these accesses through just to have them potentially not go through, get lost in the system. They don't know what worked, they don't know what didn't, and then have to redo all of this again. So yes, it's going to look insane. It's going to look like nobody did anything, because we couldn't do what you were expecting us to do because we had an IT transition and we couldn't file those requests during that time. That shit happens. It just does. So I think what happened here, in summation, Allison has a need for very detailed understanding of what is expected of her, and she wants to give a very detailed understanding to people of what is expected of them from her, right?
Yeah.
This manager does not fucking operate that way. This manager assumes that if you're a grown-ass adult, by the way she's speaking to her, this is my assumption. This manager assumes that she's a grown-ass adult and should be able to understand these things that every other grown-ass adult understands, right? And just have this knowing that's supposed to be somewhere of how things work and why things are the way they are and what the fuck ever, right? So these two things don't mesh well. I was in a similar situation. Granted, I loved my manager, but we were very polar opposite personalities in a lot of ways. We got along in a lot of ways, and then we didn't in a lot of ways. There was a lot of things that I felt should have been taken more seriously that she could give a fuck less about, and vice versa, right? And I didn't understand why she cared so much about her things, and she didn't understand why I cared so much about my things. But at the end of the day, we had to figure out how to make it work, right? This is a situation of oil and water not fucking mixing. This manager doesn't care to understand Allison. And this situation went so quick from her being in there for 3 months and then this situation escalating. I don't think this manager knows how to deal with somebody like Allison, because a lot of people don't know how to deal with neurodivergent people in the workplace. They assume that we're trying to take over their role or being bossy or being, pedantic, or we're getting, too narrow scope on things,
or that
like
we're
picky.
Or we have like she said, like we just have too high of expectations for
right.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I think is happening here. And then you obviously see that this is affecting Allison negatively. She's upset. She's frustrated.
The manager's frustrated because,
the manager's frustrated. They're frustrated at each other. Yeah.
Yeah, because at one point the manager called, she's like, "Allison, honey, listen." And then at one point she goes she's very condescending at some points. And then the thing that pissed me off was Allison was talking about the the emails and everything, and then the manager goes, "You just need to keep better track of your emails." And I'm like, it seems like Allison keeps great notes and details and everything from what I understand. Right. So,
but she's flustered right now, and you're asking her to perform under pressure, which is not going to happen with somebody who has a difficult time with cognition under stress. It's just not going to happen.
And that's happened to me too, because I can't, as we know, I can't really think on my feet very quickly, and so if I'm getting basically, I play a lot of conversations in my head, like what I think is going to happen before they happen, and then most of the time it doesn't happen that way. And so when I'm asked to present, I guess, evidence, for lack of a better term, for something, to defend my position, I have a hard time thinking of it. And so then it seems like I don't know what I'm talking about. When I do, it's just I have a hard time of conveying my thoughts. And
I can't give you impromptu answers.
Yeah,
You asked me for a specific detail, even though 5 minutes ago, before you asked me, I knew every fucking detail and I knew everything wrong. The second you ask me when I'm upset, it's gone. I can't access it. So again, not having a traumatic brain injury, but knowing that our brains are wired differently, I have a lot of the similar issues that she talks about. I can fucking relate. I'm so serious when I say I fucking was her. I was her at my job, and it made me fucking miserable. Okay. It made me miserable because I wanted nothing more than to succeed at my job and be basically the fucking hero at that place and see the place succeed, because I loved my job. And when I love shit, I take care of it and I want to help it. And when things break, I want to fix it. And it seems like Allison really loved her fucking job. She moved across the country for this job. She says later on.
Yeah, Denver, or at least Colorado is where she lived.
So and I think it is Denver, because she talks about never being able to find a place to eat in Denver. So whatever. I find that very fucking hard to believe. That's later in some other video on her TikTok. Go watch it. But anyway, she's definitely in Denver. I get it, babe. I get it. I was you, Allison. I doubt you'll ever watch this or hear this or whatever, but I was you, okay? I was you. I get it. I get why you're upset. I get everything you're going through right now. I fucking understand it. You can't possibly comprehend how the fuck you could leave for a week, knowing that you literally spelled out every single thing that anyone could have ever needed to know about what needed to be done or what could be handled while you're away. And you came back to basically a giant middle fucking finger because nothing was fucking touched. Nothing was even dealt with. No one even acknowledged her fucking notes, okay? And she feels like, what the actual fuck? Why would all of
Like,
you
why
just
did I
give
try?
me a giant fucking middle finger?
Like, why did I try?
Why did I try? And then she walks into the fact that there was an IT transition while she's gone. And now there's a new system they have to figure out how to use. New things drive me into a different kind of fucking crazy. I'm telling you, I started losing my fucking cool before we ever got to the new store. But when we transitioned to that new store, I lost my goddamn mind. There was so many things that made no fucking sense and so much change and so much fucking chaos and expectations were tripled, and also there were none at the same time, and it applied to some people and not other people, and it changed from fucking minute to minute, and I couldn't fucking handle it. I couldn't deal in a fucking environment like that. I can't deal in chaos. I don't fucking thrive there, and I feel like she's probably exactly the same way.
And that happened to me like basically to a T, because when at my old job we got a new like online banking system. My company decided to switch to this new online banking system like 2 weeks before Christmas.
The dumbest thing you could ever fucking do as a financial institution.
Yeah, because it was like literally like I think December 15th or something like that. It was literally like within the 2 weeks before Christmas, at least the month of Christmas. And mind you, as everyone can expect, banks and stuff are very busy like leading up to Christmas because people are shopping, people need their money, they need to make sure their cards work, online banking, check their balances, everything. So
they're raising their limits on shit so they don't get flagged, like all sorts of stuff.
And so we had this online banking system switch, which they didn't really prepare. Like they told us it was happening, and we got to like mess with it a little bit. But then the company that they switched to was completely inept, just completely not there. Like made a lot of promises they did not keep. The head of the company, of the online banking company, was terrible. I dealt with her personally, and she was awful. And she like never listened to anything you said. But not only that, that was this like the same year of COVID. So people are using the online banking system.
Lord.
That was 2020. So people are using the system of this new system. So online banking is at its peak because people can't really go to banks that much. They can't really go out and everything. So, and then I was written up like a couple months after this because we were in COVID. We were also taking turns working from home, and so, and then also because of like winter, we had like snow days and stuff, and like what really pissed me off is that we were expected to work in the call center, but other people weren't expected to work because obviously like the branches were closed, but we were expected to work from home, but we had no support from the other things.
Hi, my name is Allison, and if you're new here, my last...
And so and so I got written up because I was just obviously so frustrated. And so basically when I talk about like I had a manager who sounds exactly like the manager in her recording, like my manager that fired me had some aspects and I like did a lot of phrases that manager had, but I'm also talking about like the manager I had in the call center. Like my call center manager and me like did not see an eye to eye on like almost anything. So I just completely understand where she's coming from. And I also had a position where if I was off for a week, I did have a person that would take over my Slack. Granted, me and that person worked very well together because we both had the same mentality of, well, if I don't get it done, it's not going to get done type of thing. And I think you're muted, by the way. But
thank you.
Yeah. And so we both had the expectations. We were both neurodivergent. We both had the expectations of like, here's this list of shit to do. Please get it done. If not, at least get as much done as possible. And and we always worked well together with that. So, but then my position that I was fired from, I really was the only person in that position. So if it, like, my manager did do like some stuff, but I told Nikki earlier, it's like I would have preferred to do it myself, because that way I would quote unquote know it was like done right. Like, at least my expectation of right, whereas everything's uniform and stuff. So I like I said, I completely get where she's coming from in this. She just did it the wrong way.
Yeah. And I want to have a little discussion about doing it right, like doing it ourselves, because we want to do it right, which I talked to you about before we started at the, sort of towards the end of this, if we have time. But because that's that could probably be an entire episode in itself. But that is something that I also have struggled with, but I feel like
it's hard for me to relegate
time
things
away from it.
Yeah, it's hard for me to relegate
I've had enough time away
people.
from it.
Yeah.
To know that it's not an effective strategy if you're working with people at all other than yourself. So it's just not. But anyway, we will get to that later. So our next video is another one from Allison. This is only 4 minutes long, and I am going to play the whole thing because you need to hear the whole thing. It is important that you hear the whole thing. I'm just going to warn you now, this escalates quickly. So we went from hearing her
context,
upset,
what is this video for context?
This video is after this phone call with her manager took place. Okay. I'm going to give you a little bit of middle story. After the phone call with the manager took place. Okay. She was laid off very shortly afterwards. Okay. She feels that this was calculated, that this was on purpose. Retaliatory. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. I can't say that she's incorrect in that feeling. I think absolutely it was. I don't think the layoffs in general were retaliatory, because later on she mentions that there have been layoffs that had been in the works for a very long time, and that everyone knew this was happening, and they were told months in advance that layoffs might happen. But I think, as someone who is looking at it from a company perspective, you have an employee who is not meshing well with their manager. They're going around their manager, which is a no-no, to get to the director without first trying to speak to the manager. They go around their manager's head to talk to the director about something that should have been handled between them and the manager to start with, right? And the managers are going to be consulted, and so are the directors, as to who should we be laying off from your team? Like, your team's up, who's got to go? They're going to say her. She's the only one giving pushback. She's the only one that's not working out right, correct? So, yeah, it's going to be her. She made too many waves, and she put a target on her back, and out she went. Does it make it morally correct? No. Do I like that that's how things work? No. But is this the way of the world? Yes. And I'm a very realist person, okay? I deal in reality. Therefore, I probably say and do a lot of things most people don't like, because I have a very baseline understanding of, like, this is just how shit works, and the way you feel about it in the grand scheme of the world probably doesn't fucking matter. So why even have a fucking feeling about it? This is just life, right? This is how it works. That's probably trauma, but that's why I'm in therapy and I'm going after this. So hush. Anyway, she was laid off. She gets pissed. Very fucking pissed. Understandably, she's just lost her fucking income. Okay. This is a big deal. Now is not the time to be losing money in this fucking economy. Okay. It's just not. And she's a single person living in Denver. I'm assuming Denver is not incredibly expensive to live in, but it's a city, so it's probably expensive to live in.
Yeah.
And
she had moved there like only a few months prior to this. Like, she'd only been in this location. She'd been with the company for a year and a half or 2 years, but she'd only been at this position, like in this location, for like a few months. So she didn't have any resource. Like, she doesn't have any people around her.
Right. She's saying she has no family to go back home to. So it's not like she could just break this lease and leave. She's saying she has no safety net. This is all she has, right? So she's spiraling. 100% understandable. I would be as well. Okay. I totally would be as well. So she feels that the best way to handle this is to make an SCRI, or not an SCRI, that's the fucking thing. To make a, what am I trying to say? Equal opportunity?
The EEOC.
Yes, an EEOC. Sorry, I looked at SCRI on the screen. That's not what I meant. That's
EEOC complaint, which is the Equal Employment Opportunity something, I think. No, that's on. What's EEOC?
Equal Employment
Opportunity Commission. I was right. Equal
Commission.
Opportunity
There you
Employment
go.
Commission. Basically, and Brian brings this up, like, while HR is not your friend, HR is not there to protect the employee, HR is there to protect the company.
Right.
The EEOC is there to protect the employee. They're the ones that advocate for the employee. They're the ones that make it to where the company, if something happens with the company, it's up to the company to prove, like, their position more so than the employee.
Right. And on the HR thing, before this phone call, as well as after this phone call, before she was laid off, especially after this phone call, she did report her to HR several times for this phone call and turned in the recording of the phone call to HR. So they're 100% aware of this exact situation that we just listened to. They have the entire, she said the whole recording was like 10 minutes long. There's an 8-minute version. There's lots of jump cuts in it. I personally would rather see the uncut version because I want to see what she was saying in them fucking jump cuts.
Yeah.
But apparently HR at this company was 100% aware of this recording. Okay. Which also not great for you. Sorry, sister. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
But anyway, she decides she's going to make an EEOC complaint because she's disabled. And she feels that this person, she feels that the manager was targeting her from the day she got there. Okay. I don't know if that's true or not. I wasn't fucking there. Okay. But again, this just usually is not a good look. Okay. But we're gonna let you listen to what she has to say about it, because this is where shit starts to lean for me, where I'm like, all right, sister, we gotta
unmute it first.
Yeah. I'm gonna.
Yeah.
All right, here we go, folks.
Last company celebrated my 2-year anniversary by illegally laying me off because I had reported my new manager multiple times to HR for harassment, bullying, and discrimination. And they chose to protect her and leave me to face homelessness in a city where I don't have any friends, family, or resources. And today I want to talk about the cease and desist. And more importantly, I want to share how I responded to their cease and desist.
So I said, I believe you're a bit mistaken. Susan made numerous disparaging remarks about me over the course of 10 months, which I have on audio recording. SCRI decided to damage their own reputation when they hired a woman who has a reputation for disrespecting and harassing her subordinates. It was unprofessional for SCRI to hire an unqualified woman due to nepotism. It is unprofessional for SCRI to know that one of their employees has disabilities and to force them to work under a bigot with zero support. It was unprofessional for that woman to do everything in her power to create a toxic work environment because she was trying to force a disabled employee to quit. It is unprofessional for the responsibilities that belong to Susan Steben, according to the senior director, to be thrown at an employee who made less than half of Susan's salary without ever having a single discussion about those responsibilities. It is unprofessional for the senior director and Susan Steben to force me to work overtime on numerous occasions because they refused to communicate with me and would not clarify that Susan Steben would not be engaging in her duties as a manager. It was unprofessional for SCRI to stand behind a grown woman who was a bullying employee who had been with the company significantly longer. To this day, I was still at the company longer than she has been. It is unprofessional for SCRI to be completely compliant in the discrimination, harassment, and bullying of a disabled employee. Furthermore, it was unprofessional for SCRI to retaliate against a disabled employee by laying them off. It is unprofessional for the senior director and Susan Steben to define escalation pathways and for Susan Steben to then completely disregard the processes set forth by her boss. It was inappropriate for a director to bully an employee because of the disabilities. It is inappropriate for a director to bring up their disabled child with the sole intention of comparing their child to a disabled employee, which is audio recorded. It is inappropriate for a director to call a subordinate honey. It is inappropriate for a director to repeatedly disregard the disabilities of her subordinate by constantly interrupting them and changing every aspect of their role to ensure it was more difficult for that employee. It is inappropriate for SCRI to break numerous laws. In regards to your precious severance agreement, I have the Vice President of HR on audio recording lying to me and misrepresenting how the terms of that agreement would play out. Had she told the truth, I may not have signed the agreement. Severance agreements can be voided due to misrepresentation in addition to an employee being forced to sign the agreement under duress. After 10 months of being abused by Susan Steben, SURI set me up by hiring a new employee and then laying me off. This is how I know everything about that layoff was also a lie. Knowing that I had just moved to the other side of the country and wouldn't have any financial resources, forcing me to sign such agreement in a limited window of time without the opportunity to discuss the agreement with legal counsel is the absolute definition of duress. Upon further research, it appears that some of the clauses in that agreement may also be illegal. Since McKesson has decided to get involved and continue to support an abusive director, I'd be more than happy to let the world know that McKesson condones vertical violence of disabled employees. McKesson is a much more recognizable name than SURI, so that should help with my engagement. You forget that I have absolutely nothing to lose since my source of financial stability was taken away due to SURI's harmful decision to hire an abusive woman. I can barely survive, and I did not deserve to be mistreated for 10 months and then laid off and left to face homelessness because SURI couldn't admit that their precious director acted illegally towards me. You would think, given the circumstances, that SURI and McKesson wouldn't continue to act with such hostility towards a hardworking employee who can damage the reputation of both companies by simply telling the truth about their experience. Yet you continue to show that these companies are devoid of empathy and basic human decency. How many people have to complain about Susan before SURI and McKesson will admit that she's a liability to the company? Her reputation at her former company should have preceded her and prevented her from being put into another position of power that she does not deserve to be in. Her reputation at the oncology clinics engaged in contracts with SURI should have made someone consider that Susan is not fit for the position you are ever paying her for. Thanks for demonstrating the company's lack of values. Signed, Allison, Master of Science.
Okay. So we're going to break that down.
So basically, Susan was the manager, just in case, because I don't think we said her name earlier, but Susan was the manager that she had the conversation.
No, she's referring to her as a director. So yes, the manager, the director, and then apparently there's a senior director above her.
Yeah, so Susan is her manager. That was in the audio recording with her. And then SCRI is the Sarah Cannon Research Institute, which is the company that she worked for.
Right. Okay. This is where y'all might hate me or love me on this, but I don't care. These are my thoughts. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. Any semblance of credibility that you had for a case against harassment, you have just thrown out the fucking window with this absolute tantrum of a fucking email. Also, I know I don't English well, especially in the written form of English, but for fuck's sake, can we put some paragraphs in this bitch and some fucking indentations? Because holy brick, okay? This is an email. This is not a text. You guys need to go click on this link and read for it yourself, because I know she talks really fucking fast.
She talks fast, and so it's hard without subtitles, basically.
Right. But again, that's why we're going to break it down. Holy motherforking shirt balls. Do I hate this? All right. First impression by you before we get going.
Well, I wish she would have shown the email that they had sent her.
She does in the beginning.
Okay,
but it's blocked the fuck off.
Yeah, she blocked it. Like because they sent her a cease and desist. I'm assuming she doesn't explain why they sent her a cease and desist. I'm assuming it's because of her video, like her uploads.
Because she's name dropping them before this. She's name dropping the company. She's name dropping her. And listen, most places, when you sign a severance package, you're signing a fucking NDA. You can't talk shit and then get away with it. A lot of severance packages come with an NDA, or at least some sort of part of that says, if you're going to go out and say a bunch of ignorant shit about us and our company, expect to have a fucking legal action taken against you, okay? There's arbitration clauses and fucking things to keep you from suing companies that you work at. There is not, you can't do it, okay? You can't do this. She did, but not without fucking consequence, okay? Basically, it's just telling her, knock it the fuck off, basically. You can't keep saying the shit you're saying about this person, and if you don't stop, we're going to sue you, essentially is what it says. In lawyer speak, in corporate speak. So, all right, sorry. The rest of your thoughts. What else do you have to say about this initially before we like really break it down?
It's just like you said, it's one big wall of text. She starts. I understand that she's like coming, like she's trying to make a point. Like they probably called her unprofessional, and so she's just pushing it back of like, well, it's unprofessional that you did this. It's unprofessional that you did that, and so, and it's like, girl, okay, you're threatening them by basically just by saying you're gonna put them on blast. Like, just get a lawyer, girl. Just I understand that you don't have a job right now, but like, just get one of those lawyers that won't get paid unless you win.
Yeah.
Just get like an employment lawyer. Like, I understand she went to the EEOC, and she mentions in a later video they basically said they wouldn't investigate, like they didn't see any, and which she also seems to take as a slight.
Yeah, which I'm sorry, you had no case, baby. I don't know.
Yeah, and so like I understand toxic managers, like I get that, but it's also like you keep saying she discriminated against you because you're disabled. You don't have proof of that because like you said that like you claim that she knows you have a TBI and that she's interrupting you as a way of being disrespectful against a disabled employee. Like, okay, as someone who has a hard time not interrupting people, like if there was someone I knew with a TBI, like it would be very hard. I'd be very hard pressed to stop interrupting just because I knew, like if I knew they had a TBI, and that's not me just being disrespectful. It's not like you're also not respecting me as a person. Like it just, she seems to like we said earlier, she seems to have like a lot of expectations of people, and I get that what happened to her was shitty, and I get that her manager may have been shitty, but she's also, like you said, like we said, she's not handling it well. She's flaming out, and so basically every reaction she has is a reaction I've had, but she just takes it like to level 11.
Yeah,
like she yeah.
These are inside thoughts, right?
Yeah,
like you call your best friend and say this shit. You don't email this to the company.
Like
right?
When I got denied unemployment by the judge, and I could tell the judge did not listen to like half of the things that were said.
Which that legitimately was bullshit.
Yeah, and so like I did start typing up a whole thing to send to like the review board, but then I was like, you know what? Just fuck it. I don't give a shit anymore. Where this girl would definitely have, like, she would have been calling the news. She would have been like, she probably would have found that judge and like harassed him or something. She's just
we're gonna talk about that later. She doesn't know how to let it go, and it takes it to a place it doesn't belong. But there at the very end of the video, I stopped it before she finished. She said, "Everyone keeps telling me that I should stop naming her, but I don't care. Honey, you've made that very clear that you don't care. But here's the problem. You are not exempt from the consequences of your actions. Period. I don't give a fuck if you're disabled. I don't give a fuck if you have a TBI. I don't give a fuck if you have trauma. You are responsible for the consequences of your actions. No person gets away with her level of functioning. Let's be very honest. With her level of functioning, if she can function enough to write this shit
and acquire a master of science, like a master's of science,
then she can function enough to understand that this is not right. She can understand that there's a way to conduct yourself professionally in the workplace. I don't buy that you have too much brain damage to understand that you have to give as much as you get, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care if that sounds shitty. Call me ableist. I don't give a fuck. If you have this level of fucking functionality, just like I have this level of fucking functionality, then you have an ability to understand, learn, and grow past the shit that you have done and learn that your consequences have fucking actions. You are not exempt from it. Sorry. You're not exempt. Just like we've talked about with the Nicholas Godejohn thing. Yes, he was severely autistic. Yes, he had other diagnoses. but he was not exempt from the consequences of his actions. He still murdered someone. Like, you are not exempt from the consequences of your actions, babe. You can, in the great fucking country of the United States of America, do whatever the fuck you want to do. You can't then walk down the fucking street and expect nobody to holler at you about it. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you just don't get to do shit and not have a fucking consequence.
Like, we live in a
You
society,
cannot
okay?
say-
We live in a society.
Correct. You cannot say this shit and expect anyone to take you fucking seriously ever again. In any fucking company you ever apply for, you are cooked. And
Yeah.
that was Brian's point, and we're going to hear from him next. But very quickly, I want to point out a couple things in this video, because this is going to be a long one, and I'm sorry. Very quickly, I want to point out a couple things. How the fuck dare you call her a bigot for your perceived slighting on this shit? How does that make her a bigot? How does that make her
Like,
culpable for vertical violence, which I don't even know what the fuck that means.
I looked it up.
I
did look it up.
Like,
I looked it up. It means vertical violence is a form of workplace violence that occurs between individuals at different hierarchical levels, such as a manager and a subordinate. It's characterized by acts of aggression, intimidation, or undermining behaviors that disrupt professional performance and satisfaction. This can include actions like yelling, withholding information, ignoring, and humiliation. Basically, she sees her manager like pushing against her, like, obviously not in the best way either, as her being a bigot against her being disabled, instead of just being a personality difference. Like,
correct.
She's the kind of person. Hold on. Let me finish my thought. She's the kind of person that would think like freedom of speech means freedom from consequence. It's like,
right.
Like she thinks that like anything she does shouldn't have consequences. And so
right.
like I said, she has this victimhood mentality that where she's not taking accountability for anything.
I can't stand when words like that are used in situations they don't fucking belong in. Because what happens is the world sees people like her who are crashing the fuck out and accusing people of the highest level of bullshit they can possibly be accused of in this given situation. And they're going to go, now any other time they hear these terms used, right? Like vertical violence or abuse or toxic work environment or shit like that, they're going to roll their fucking eyes and think people are like her, right? You're cheapening the fucking definition of these words when you attach them to bullshit it doesn't belong attached to. Vertical violence sounds pretty fucking severe to me. And I don't believe that's what fucking took place here. I'm sorry. Was I in her office? No. Could that manager have not liked her and kind of been an asshole to her all the time? Absolutely. Maybe she was. I'll give her that. I will fucking give her that. Okay. What you don't do is call her every name in the fucking book in an email to the company who's just told you to knock it off. Okay. Knock it off or we're going to sue you. Instead, you double down and make it worse.
Mm-hmm.
She took it even farther at this point by calling her every name in the fucking book and accusing the company of supporting her. And then the little fucking snarky ass shit about name dropping the parent company and going, think what that will do for my fucking engagement. Get off my goddamn screen with that shit.
Right.
You little fucking brat is what I wanted to say to her in that moment. You are being a brat. This is what brats do. This is what toddler fucking tantrums look like from 20-something-year-old women. Stop it. You are making us all look bad. Yes, she's making us all look bad. Every person that now has to bring up something like this has to go up against her and every other stupid bitch who's ever done this shit. It's cheapening the fucking issue. That's the problem I fucking have with it. Also, like you said, there's just zero possible fucking way in her brain that she could understand how she has any fucking thing to do with the consequences or with this situation and how it went down. Like, she cannot wrap her mind around the fact that part of this is her own fault. Like, it's your own fault. I'm sorry. Part of it, yes, that manager probably shouldn't be in the role she's in. She's probably not great to be working with teams. That shit happens. But you did some of this to yourself by crashing the fuck out about it and then accusing this woman of shit you have no fucking proof of. Because don't you think, listen, if I had proof of someone actually discriminating against me by saying something, doing something in that way, that's what would be on the fucking screen, not my crash out email.
Right.
You know what I mean? You said you have this shit in audio recording from HR. Where's that?
Right.
Put that out. I want to hear that. Because something tells me she hears what she wants to hear and then forms the fucking opinion she has based on that. I don't think she has an ability to understand objectively from any other lens but her own. And that has not shit to do with a brain injury. That's a personality flaw. I'm sorry. Maybe it has something to do with the brain injury, but that's also a fucking personality flaw.
Right.
Selfishness can be unlearned. Self-centeredness can be unlearned. I don't find that as an attachment to a fucking disability. Oh, I have a brain injury. Now I'm the most self-centered prick I've ever met in my life. I don't want to hear that shit. Like, I don't want to hear that shit. So now I'm heated and you can tell. But do you have any more thoughts on this before we hear from Brian?
No. She, I think we got it all out there.
All right. Well, we know she done cooked her own goose at this point. So, tiny context on Brian. Like we said, he runs a YouTube channel called Life After Layoff. At this point in time, he has 414,000 subscribers. This video has about 10,000 likes on it and 291,000 views, and it's a month old at the time of recording, which this is just a day before it'll go out tomorrow on the 10th of July. So it's got 291,000 views. In the grand scheme of YouTube, yeah, that's a really fucking good. That's good in YouTube. It is, because it's not TikTok. It's not the same shit. This is good. It's got a lot of views. But it's not like he's got millions of followers. It's not like he's got, millions of views on this video.
He's not punching down, basically. He's not punching down.
He's not punching down at all, okay? And the whole point of this video wasn't even to shit all over her. He's a coach.
He's like a job coach.
Yeah, he uses these videos he sees people send him to form content around, this is how this went down. This is why this might not have worked out for her.
What to do, what not to do type of thing.
Exactly.
They're training videos, basically.
Okay, so this is where we're going to pick up from the original video. This is him watching the original video that we listened to first.
The phone call, the audio recording.
The phone call. Yes, this is the phone call we listened to first with Allison and her manager. He is now live reacting to it, right? We're going to hear her manager say the thing about the expectations being inappropriate, and then we're going to hear Brian weigh in on it. So here we go. Maybe, if I could present the right goddamn thing. Okay, here we go. And the volume's all the way up, so good deal.
Feeling a little bit frustrated that you are not acknowledging the work that your team did, and that you were complaining to everybody today and probably didn't get a whole lot of work done because you were so upset. I think that your reaction is inappropriate.
And to be perfectly honest with you, I think her reaction is inappropriate as well. I have to agree with the manager here. I know that probably going to get a bunch of people with pitchforks and torches out saying that, well, I'm siding with the manager here. And again, I'm only operating with very limited information. And if she's going around complaining to everybody in the department about how this work didn't get done, it's likely that some other people in the department went back and told the boss, because that's how it seems like the boss knew that she was complaining to everybody. And that's usually how it gets back, is somebody comes to the boss and says, hey, this person is really being chirpy right now.
I asked you if you expected the inbox. I asked you if you expected the inbox. I'm trying to figure out what your expectations are, Allison, and I
I would just not like to have to come in here and not know what is happening. It would be so much easier for somebody who knows what's resolved to refile things instead of me see hundreds of emails and not know what's going on.
Allison, the whole reason that I called this meeting was for us to calmly go through those one by one so that I could explain it to you.
So according to her note, the manager is on this call or scheduled this call because she had emailed the senior director. So in other words, went around her boss, went and complained to human resources a couple of times, went around her boss to the senior leader. The senior leader then goes to the boss and says, get this thing figured out. Get on a call with her and get this thing hammered out. I don't want to deal with this anymore. And she's causing problems. So that's likely what happened. And so now this manager is coming in with this, what the hell's going on here type of meeting. And this meeting is just like, it's painful to listen to this.
And when I tried to do that, all you've done is argue with me.
I've never been trying to argue with you. You always sound like you're really frustrated and don't like me.
Well, and we've talked about that before.
And then your tone of voice continues to be the same.
I mean, she is, the manager's tone of voice is definitely agitated, and the employee is coming across as disrespectful to there's a reporting relationship, and whether you like it or you don't like your boss, you still have to have a level of professionalism when you're interacting with them. And I'm not hearing that that level of respect. And it's not that you shouldn't have any backbone with your boss, but there's a right way to go about it. If I'm the boss and I have an employee who comes back with all these expectations and starts barking orders at me and demanding to know what the hell's going on with their pile of work that they are ultimately responsible for because it's their job, then I find out that they're going to human resources behind my back. Human resources come knocking on my door, and then my senior manager, my boss, is coming to my office and saying, what the hell's going on with this person? I'm probably not going to be too thrilled either. So, and
all right. So how do you feel that he's handled this so far? I want to get
at least
your
this
opinion.
section, because there was another section he was talking about that I didn't really agree with him on, but this section I agree with him on, where Allison's not handling this well. Obviously, like I said, all we have of the manager is this audio recording. Like, she claims she has other audio recordings of everything and all these emails, all this documentation, but she's not showing it. As far as I'm aware, she's not showing it, but I haven't seen every single one of her TikToks.
I haven't seen any of it.
Yeah, and so I also think Allison, because she realized people are engaged in this and are basically paying attention to her, and she went viral for that audio recording video, I think she's also like playing it up a little bit, so to get more views and everything, because she needs to make money, so I guess, get that bag, girl. But
right.
For him, he's like, I do, because like instantly I clocked the manager as being irritated, as being frustrated. Granted, we don't know how long the call had been going on before Allison hit record.
Right.
So she says it was 10 minutes. The video is 8 minutes. Obviously, there's little jump cuts. She might have just, cut she might have just cut 10 seconds of intro at the beginning. We don't know. So it does sound like the manager's frustrated. I've had managers sound like this with me, so I completely get it. That's why I was telling Nikki earlier. It's like, it's triggering, but not like, I told her, I'm like, I don't really like using the word trigger because it just has very negative connotations, but it's very like, I've been there, so I get it. And so I feel there's at times where I'm not saying like Brian is being condescending to Allison. I just feel like he thinks that, well, as the employee, you should just automatically respect your manager. Like, obviously you went about this the wrong way, which she did. She went about this the wrong way. But he's also like, way earlier in the video, he said she should have just, canceled the call and said, thank you for your time, whatever, and just basically moved on with her life. It's like, I don't agree with that. Like, I'm not saying
talk to me about that. Why not?
Well, because like we didn't see his clip of, and I don't want you to go searching for it because we don't know where it is, but basically at one point in the video, like I said, within like the first minute or two of their conversation of the audio recording, he basically says Allison should have just thanked the manager for her time and just ended the call. Basically not get anything done. Like, basically, I understand that this call might have not been constructive. They're both obviously very frustrated, and they're not hearing each other. They keep interrupting each other, and nothing's getting done with the call. But Brian seems like, okay, you did the wrong thing. I'm going to HR, because he even makes the point to say HR is not your friend. They're there to protect the company, not you. And he made a point to say she shouldn't have gone around the manager and went with the senior director, which is also true. But she finally has this conversation with her manager, and you're telling her that she should just stop having the conversation with her manager. Like, I get they're not in the right headspace for this. Like, this, it seems like Allison works from home or something, because, and like, it's like this should have been like an in-person meeting. So I get like this should have been an in-person meeting, but I feel like the conversation would have been the same. Like, they both would have been heated. They both would have been frustrated. So I get like the whole context of the phone call is not in the best light, but you're basically telling someone who is doing the thing that you tell people to do, which is go straight to their manager, and you're telling her, well, just stop disrespecting your manager, end the call, and like just thank her for her time, and basically get nothing done. Nothing gets accomplished. Like, what is she supposed to do then? Like, what was his like resolution for that?
I'm going to tell you what it was.
Yeah.
From a management perspective, he's right.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you why. He is not telling her to end the call and move on with her life because he thinks this conversation should have never happened. It's more of the lens of the communication has broken down at this point. You're going nowhere. If anything, she's digging herself a deeper hole.
Okay? Yeah, which I agree with.
To get heated with her manager. And the longer this conversation goes on, the more upset she's getting. It's only making it worse for her. Okay? Again, this is one of those situations where we don't have to like it, but this is how the world works. Do you know what I mean? Like, it ain't right, but it is what it is. It would have been out of her own self-preservation and in her own best interest to get off that fucking phone call as fast as possible. And instead of continuing to make waves where she's at, start putting her resume in. And he mentions this later on in the video when he says, you're going to have issues like this all the time at every place you go. Mm-hmm. But my advice to anyone going through something similar where you have a really good team, everything's going well, and someone in management gets removed that you work well with, or just at all, management gets changed. Start putting your resume in. Assume your ass is gone. Because you're not guaranteed to mesh with that new person. And you should be ahead of the game just in case. Start assuming that you're the fuck out of there. Because that manager's going to have different expectations of you. They're going to have their different way of managing. There's going to be a different dynamic now, and it might not be in your best interest to still be there. That's his advice that he's giving. Okay? Right. He's not saying she should have known this. He's saying
he's using her as an example.
What you should do if you find yourself in this situation, because a lot of times this is what happens. New management shows up, they're not meshing with somebody on the team. They fucking get the hell out of there. Because guess who they're not replacing? They're not replacing the manager, because it costs more money to replace that manager than it costs to replace her. Let's be real. Okay. Mm-hmm. His point was it was out of self-preservation. I can understand how it might have been taken that way of like, well, why the fuck do you want her to get off the call if this was the whole point anyway? Like, she went around her head. She shouldn't have done it. But it was out of self-preservation at this point.
Right.
she's only making it worse for her. She's only making herself more of a target at this point, the more waves she's making. Does it suck that that is our reality? 100 fucking %. But it doesn't change the fact that it is our reality. It's corporate America reality. You either get with it or you get the fuck out. That's just how it is. And that's why he said, I'm probably going to get the torches and the pitchforks. So am I. I have a firm belief that if you want to operate within corporate America, you better learn how to play the fucking game. Learn how to play the game, because if you don't, you will fucking lose. Because the CEO ain't going to lose. All the people who make twice what you do ain't going to fucking lose. It's going to be you, because you're easily replaceable and the rest of those people are not.
Right.
It's just what it is. Call me a harsh bitch. It is what it is. Let me play one more tiny bit. I want to get his response to the cease and desist letter.
Her response to the cease and desist letter.
His reaction to her response, basically. Yeah. So I think we're going to start about here.
Don't care. That woman ruined my life, and I think she deserves to know that she's a bad person.
Whoa. I'm trying to withhold off the rails is probably the term that comes to mind here. I just think that this is probably a case where she should just delete her social media and try to start fresh and just move on. Judging from the comments, I've just kind of read through some of the comments, and I can't confirm this 100%, but it sounds like she's not able to find a lawyer to represent her either. So the EEOC and attorneys are not picking up the case, and she's creating a very visible issue, and she's posting it on LinkedIn. She's posting it on TikTok, and recruiters hiring teams from other companies will indeed be looking on socials. They do this stuff. They look at your social media, and if they see this kind of stuff, no employer is going to hire her. So unfortunately, she's going down a really bad path, and I feel bad for her. I feel like she's allowing this one particular bad. It's like, listen,
she's making herself look like a problem.
In our career, at some point in our career, we're going to have a bad situation, a bad employer, a bad boss, but it's better to just walk away from it and just leave it in the past, like leave it in the rearview mirror and go find a new opportunity. It's not worth blowing up your career over one bad boss. Like, she's letting one bad situation, one bad boss blow up her entire career, because
my thoughts exactly.
Mm-hmm. It's like, girl, just that's like, I never posted any of this. Like, obviously I talked about it on this podcast, but it's like, I never talked about this stuff like on my social media and stuff. So it's just,
right.
I never got too into like details. So,
and we never titled anything. I never titled anything intentionally that would have put a target on your back either on purpose. Like, and you also didn't have a full-on crash out and call everyone at that company every name in the fucking book, even though you totally could have. And in your case, it would have been fucking justified. But this, I still wouldn't have advised it. But you would.
Obviously, I'm not going to crash out.
Legs to stand on. Yeah.
Right.
The point is, she wants to be a grown-ass adult. She wants to be looked at and referred to as a grown-ass adult. But in these next couple clips, we're going to see her response to this video. And the way that she talks about herself after basically playing on the grown-ass adult side of the street and wanting to be respected and all this other shit, she goes to this other side of the street now, where now she's put upon, and now she's just a young girl, okay?
Right.
Which also pisses me off. Pick a fucking lane, okay?
Right.
You can't be a young girl when it's fucking convenient for you. You're either a fucking woman or you're not, okay? You're either a grown-ass woman, I'm sorry, or you're not. Pick one.
Yeah, I don't want even in her letter, even in her email to the cease and desist, she talks about how like her manager should have been like a grown woman. It's like, but you're also a grown woman. Like, I understand your manager's older than you. I understand your manager's older than you and like whatever, but you're also in your 20s. You're not like 18 years old. So just get over yourself at that point.
And listen, I don't feel my age, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, my ass is almost 35 years old. I gotta act like it, you know?
Even
I
when we
gotta
don't
act-
want to. Even when we don't want
That's
to.
right. That's right. Because guess what? I have to operate inside society. I have to. I don't have a fucking choice, okay? I have enough. I have just enough of the tism to make life fucking difficult, but I still have to operate in society. I am not I am not low support need. I have to participate. So you have to learn how to do it. Yes, it might be hard, but you gotta fucking learn. Here she go on her next crash out. These next couple are wild. So just
Yeah, we told you this is gonna probably be a long episode, the long video.
Yeah. So this is here we go. Let me get this in here. Sorry, it's my mouse is being really unresponsive, but let's see if this works. Here we go.
Brian is a random man who made a 40-minute YouTube video about me without my knowledge or permission. Brian refuses to delete the video unless I give him the ability to control what I'm allowed to talk about on my own TikTok account. Brian doesn't care that his subscribers are coming to find my account and harass me. As long as Brian makes money off of me, that's all that matters. Brian is a career coach who hasn't been getting very good engagement on his TikTok videos, and his YouTube views have been dwindling, so he decided to go back to what got him his most viral video on YouTube: taking advantage of women. Brian doesn't care what happens.
Jesus Christ.
Viral as long as it helps him. And after he spent 20 minutes yelling at me, cussing me out, threatening me, and trying to demoralize me, Brian asked me to come onto his channel so he could give me career coaching advice. As if I would want to do that and help you profit off of me even more, Brian. So if you're another person who has been laid off, more specifically, if you're another woman who's been laid off and you've talked about it on TikTok, you might want to go ahead and just block Brian before you become his next learning example against your will. And if you're looking for a job, he's a great career coach. I would highly recommend Brian.
I can't stand her.
Yeah, also like you think he's going you think he's going after you because you're a woman? Like, okay, that would make more sense if the manager that fired you, or like they got you fired, that you had this whole crash out with, was a man. Like, I would get it if he was like taking the side of the manager automatically. Like, granted, obviously that not of him taking the side of the manager if the manager was a man does not mean he's being misogynistic. I'm not saying that.
Right.
I would see her perspective of it.
Right.
If like it's because
Delulu.
Yeah. Right.
It makes
like
more sense.
Like, okay, I hate this. Like, when this is why like the feminist movement and like women's movements like never, like, we get some traction, but then we have people like this who just put us back so far because it's like, well, you're just doing that because I'm a woman. Shut the fuck up. Like,
right.
Like, it's same with like the neurodivergent community. Well, she's just doing that because I'm disabled. Shut the fuck up. Like, that's what's so frustrating to me. It's like, you've obviously never experienced in your own little life, never experienced like true misogyny, true like anti-woman behavior.
True discrimination.
Yeah, true discrimination. If you think him, like, he never brings up your gender. He never brings up like I kind of made a thing to Nikki. It's like, I wish he would have. I don't know if he did in the video, but I wish he would have made a point of saying like, the manager shouldn't have called her honey. But it's not like like the manager was like an old man calling her honey. It just seemed like she was just being condescending just to be condescending.
Yeah.
But it's not because you're a woman. It's like he's talking. He would probably say the same thing if you were a man.
Right.
So like a man with a it's just, to me,
his
it's
most
like
viral video is bullshit.
Yeah. To me, it's like, I get, like, he's like you. Like, obviously he's not really using you to get views. Like, he isn't. But that's the name of the game. Like, you keep harping on this situation that seems to have happened last year. Like, that audio recording video was from last December. It is now July.
Right.
So you keep doing this for views too. So shut up. Like, like, him saying he's using you for views is him attacking women? That makes no sense. Like, he didn't, and there's no indication that he doesn't like you because you're a woman. Like, I did not perceive that at all. like from his video. And I'm usually pretty in tune with that sort of like talk and that sort of like condescension, that sort of mentality. But I didn't get that vibe at all from him.
No. Also, the crash out is so real when she's got to come after his virality and shit. Like, why are you throwing low blows? He doesn't even name call you. He doesn't say anything ignorant about you at all in this entire fucking video. And I don't know if she said it in that one or not, but she fully admits to never watching the video. She said she's never watched the video. How the fuck do you know what he even said or how he said it? How
you just assumed
crashing out this hard over something you haven't even seen?
Yeah, you're just assuming because he's a man talking about you that he's being anti-woman. Girl,
and
shut up.
He does them on men too. And the most viral video is fucking hilarious because there are videos on his YouTube channel that have multi-millions of views.
Yeah.
The one that we just watched has 217,000 views.
Right.
Get over yourself, okay?
Right.
Get the fuck over yourself. This is where she loses me, okay? I mean, the email was where she really lost me. That was the beginning of the "you've lost me" here.
Mm-hmm.
But I cannot stand people who fucking act like this. The way that and you want to talk about fucking taking advantage of people and doing things without their fucking consent. I don't know if we'll hear it because the videos that she made a thing on here saying that the videos of her recording him talking to her on the phone were taken down. They were taken down because they were fucking mass reported. And they fucking should have been. Because she went so far as to track down his fucking phone number.
Jesus Christ.
And call and harass him until he answered the fucking phone. And then proceeded to cuss him the fuck out on the phone. And you can hear him on the video that she's recording. Again, she really loves to fucking record people, which is, I fucking hate it. I'm sorry, I hate it. You hear him and he says, "You called me. And
right.
if you don't
like, I'm not harassing
me and my family," which means she has to have tracked his family members down too at some point. "If you don't stop harassing me and my family, I will keep making videos about you. I will make you a fucking laughingstock. I will do the things you're accusing me of doing." He's sick and tired of her shit. She won't leave him alone. He made one video about her and then moved the fuck on. And she has made an entire TikTok career off of this bullshit. And is now harassing this man over it. And this is the most heinous one, where I was like, this was the one that made me message you and go, "We're talking about this because this shit needs to be called out and we need to drag her onto the fucking carpet and be like, you can't fucking do this shit. You're making us all look bad and I don't want to claim you anymore in our community. Get the fuck out." Like, get the fuck out. We don't want this kind. Goodbye. I will keep for her. She's not, I don't want you at my party. Right. So
you
we're
can't
going to listen. No, you really can't sit with us. I'm sorry. Until you get your shit figured out and figure out how fucking wrong all of this was that you did and apologize to this fucking man for the shit you're about to say, you cannot fucking sit here. So here we go.
I got up on the Lord of my life in the last 24 hours. Some random man named Brian made a 40-minute YouTube video about me. I refused to watch it and give him the engagement, but the comment section was horrible. I tried to reach out to Brian privately and attempt to have him remove the video, but he screamed at me for over 20 minutes. Said he would remove the video, then said he would only remove the video if I stopped talking about my illegal layoff on TikTok. And, he just screamed a lot. I'm pretty sure he hung up on me at the end. I recorded the whole thing, and I'd love to share it with you all. Since Brian refused to be a decent human being, I made a TikTok video about it, which has popped off a little bit. And the wonderful people of TikTok stood behind me, and we made that horrible, misogynistic piece of crap budge just a little bit. He said he would take his video down if I removed my video about him. And I will no longer be communicating directly with Brian because he's already threatened so many legal actions against me. So if somebody else could communicate this to Brian, that would be great. You know, actually, I'm sure my #1 fan is watching this. So, Brian, I'm going to keep my video up because you're going to help me pay my rent. It's honestly a blessing in disguise. You can keep your video up and continue to show the world that you are a man that does not care about consent. I hope your wife realizes that you are a misogynistic piece of crap and leaves you and takes your kids away so that they do not have to grow up under your influence. It's kind of ridiculous that a grown man had to come after a young girl in order to get some views on YouTube. And I hope it was worth it.
I want to go back to the video because it came on the screen very briefly, the message that was sent.
Okay, hold on.
So what does it say? Early,
it says you're okay. It says so this is Brian DMing her, okay? It says my video is now going viral, but I have no interest in feuding with anyone over content. I'm only trying to help people have better careers. I'll remove and delete mine if you remove yours about me. You can keep your videos of you and your boss. We both move on with our lives, and I'll wish you the best of luck with your career endeavors. That's all he said to her.
Right.
That's all he said to her.
So she claims that she has this 20-minute video where 20-minute like phone call where he yelled at her, which if he did yell at her in this phone call, I'm assuming it's because it was after her harassing him consistently. Right. So
correct.
You said she released the audio of their phone call, but then it got deleted, like it got removed?
Yes. So damn. I don't have it.
I'm assuming it's somewhere because the internet's forever. So, but we're not looking for it.
It's in CC Suarez. It's in here for the clout, but I don't exactly know where.
Yeah, so we won't go because we're already like an hour and 40 minutes into this video.
I mean,
so
I could find it, but it's going to take me a good 5 to 10 minutes to figure out exactly where it was in it. But if you want to go watch, I actually encourage you to go watch theirs because they have a take on it as well. I'll link that episode in our show notes. You can go watch it because they have some of the shit that she deleted where he's yelling at her. That's how I know.
Okay, gotcha.
That they did it. He's quote unquote yelling at her. I would be fucking yelling at her too. So,
yeah, exactly.
The reason why I want to grab and shake the piss out of her is to go, do you fucking hear yourself?
Right.
Like, do you fucking hear yourself? There are so many other videos on this girl's fucking page about how she's literally crying in some of them saying that she's applied to over 90 jobs and no one will take her. I fucking wonder why. This is the shit you're doing. Employers will see this. They will see how you treat people. They will see how you talk to people. And this is what you're going to get. A fat lot of no thank you. Even if you're qualified, they are not going to risk hiring someone like you when you do this shit. Period. You could be more qualified than the person who came in after you. But they're going to hire them after they see that their social media doesn't fucking look like this, but yours does. Right. How disgusting do you gotta fucking be? How low do you gotta fucking go to tell this man that you hope his fucking wife leaves him and takes his fucking kids away? That's disgusting.
Exactly.
This is also the same girl who fucking said that she was a struggling single mother of 2. She has 2 fucking cats. Get the fuck out of here. I cared. I would have been like, oh, whatever. That's probably some.
She seems not to diagnose her, but she seems very narcissistic. Like
100%.
Like she seems like nothing is her fault. Like I said, there might be a video of her somewhere where she's taking at least a little bit personal responsibility. I've yet to see it. Where she seems like, okay, maybe these are not the steps I should have taken. I shouldn't have done this.
It don't exist.
She does not have hindsight's 2020 type of thing right now. That's not where she's at.
There was one more video. I don't know that I'll play it, but she basically, after this takes place, okay, she goes to the fucking police and tries to report him to the fucking police for harassment because his people from his comment section are finding her and are threatening to expose her full name. But literally in the video we just watched, his full name is exposed in the DM. So you don't want your full name exposed, but you don't care about putting his out there.
Right.
Which granted, maybe he don't care about his getting put out there. But the way that life just doesn't apply, the same rules of life just don't fucking apply to her. is wild. The fucking entitlement is wild. And I've heard in the Here for the Clout thing, Sherilyn shares something about one of her close friends or family members had a TBI, and his personality did drastically change. He went from being a sweet, lovable, like carefree kind of person to being very difficult to regulate his emotions. I understand that can be a thing. I am not dogging on her for having a hard time regulating her emotions. I mean, how do you feel? Do you feel like there's just a big fat difference between I can't regulate my emotions and I say heinous shit about people on the fucking internet? Like,
yeah, because like I get it. Like I would understand the very beginning. Like I would even understand her email to the cease and desist letter. After that, I feel like, okay, enough is enough. Like you have to see what you're doing is wrong. And I agree with you about the whole traumatic brain injury, because I told you about like my mom's friend had a son who fell off a cliff when he was younger, and like since then he's just completely changed. He just has a lot of issues, and so we're not saying that like she's not when we say that she needs to take some personal responsibility, we're not saying like, oh, she just needs to work past her brain injury.
right,
And so
exactly.
it's more of the fact of like, I feel like she does have a sense of right and wrong.
Absolutely.
She's just so far deep into it right now. I feel like she thinks like there's she can't really turn around. Like she can't really stop making these videos now, because like that's how she's, like she said, like Brian's helping her make her rent. So I feel like she's just so far gone to this point. It's kind of like when people say the red pill community, like they do the red pill, but then they kind of like learn the error ways, but then they realize the grift is so good, like
yeah,
the money and stuff is so good that they can't just like stop.
Right.
It's almost like it's taking like a life on its own at this point. I'm not saying like she's acting. Like I do believe she genuinely feels this way, but I feel like you're taking this to 11. Like you need to just. She doesn't have any sense of let's stop and actually think about this sort of thing. And I get it. Like as someone who also has been looking for work, like obviously I haven't been working for work like as hard as she has been. And I don't have like her same qualifications and stuff. Like I get it, but also like the job, like I agree with her. The job market sucks right now, but you're also not helping your case. You don't see what you're doing is hurting you. Like there's a reason like why I haven't posted on my social media about like my issues with my past job. Like I've never even on my account, like my Facebook or whatever, I never even put where I worked. I even requested whenever they would like my company would post like events and stuff, and if they took pictures, like they asked you if you want to be tagged, and I always requested don't tag me in anything. Like I didn't want people to know. Like people could figure it out. Like it's not that hard. Like people could obviously easily figure out where I worked. It's not that difficult. But
you weren't going out of your way to make sure
I wasn't like making it
worked.
publicly available, publicly known sort of shit. So the fact that like we said, she's crashing out so hard is just not helping her case. Like they claim that she can't find a lawyer, like can't get a lawyer to take her case or whatever it was, which I found hard to believe. Like there's lawyers that would take any case. So
if this was a true case of discrimination, the EEOC would have investigated it. I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry. You have to have proof because these are serious allegations.
And she keeps saying she has all this
solid proof.
She keeps saying that she has like all this stuff. Like, yeah, the burden of proof is on you. Like when you make a claim, the burden of proof is not on the other person you're making a claim against. The burden of proof is on you. So that's why, like, I agree with her in the beginning. Like, I get it. Like, as someone who's been there, as someone who's had a manager or multiple managers like this, like, I get it. But you're not helping your case. Like, and I get she feels validated because she has all these people who are not, like, I think, thinking logically. Like, they're just thinking more emotionally. And like agreeing with her in the comments, and I think that's what drives her is like she's getting all this validation from strangers online that like people who aren't really calling her out. And if they do call her out, like Brian did, then they're misogynistic or they're a bigot or whatever. Like, girl, people can just not like I don't like, okay, I'm a quote unquote disabled person. Disabled, like, because you seem to think like neurodivergency is disability, which it is in some aspects. But you seem like, okay, I'm a disabled woman by your definition. I just don't like you, personality wise. And as someone who said I've been there in your shoes, I understand the feeling you're feeling. So what are you gonna call me? A bigot
Right.
and a misogynist
And an ableist.
and an ableist and all this? Okay, whatever. Those are just buzzwords, my dear. Like you
If
don't.
the
You've
shoe fits,
obviously,
I guess.
you've obviously never experienced true discrimination, and you think that someone talking against you is discriminating against you when it could, like I said, when it could just be like I said earlier, you think your manager was a bigot against you when it could just be a clash of personalities.
Right.
I'm sorry. Like, it is what it is. Like, not everyone's gonna agree with you. Not everyone's gonna like you. Not everyone's gonna mesh well with you. It is a tough pill to swallow. But the sooner you do, the better you'll feel. Okay?
Right.
That's all I gotta say.
And she, like he said, she's literally ruining her future right now.
Yeah.
That woman ruined my life. No, honey, you're ruining your own life right now. You could have stopped at any time.
Yeah.
She's obviously intelligent. She's obviously capable, or she wouldn't have been able to obtain a master's degree in science, okay? And she wouldn't have been able to get the job she was at for a year and a half. She has the skills. She has the knowledge. Why wouldn't you take that somewhere that will appreciate it? They obviously couldn't see, and you didn't mesh well with that environment anymore. So you gotta move on. Don't blow up your entire fucking life over one bad experience. And that's what you did. And now not only have you ruined your career professionally, you've ruined your fucking reputation on top of that. In your 20s.
Mm-hmm.
In your 20s. You're not even in a place in life, in the climate we live in, where everything is fucking digital and the internet is forever. You have ruined your fucking career and reputation for the rest of your life over some manager who you couldn't get along with.
Right.
Even if everything she said that manager did was true, even if she was being discriminated against, even if she was being bullied by people at her job, it's never worth it to blow up your entire life in the way that she has. Speaking out about something is very different than what she did. It's very different. I'm not saying be silent about abuse. I'm not saying be silent about vertical violence, that term she used. I'm not saying be silent about workplace discrimination. I'm saying there is a big fucking difference between speaking out against those things and blowing your entire fucking life up.
Mm-hmm.
And in other videos, she, like you said, she keeps just, harping on the disabled thing. Stop it. Stop it. Do not take communities that have a hard enough fucking time gaining any respect, recognition, or fucking acceptance in the world and co-opt them because it's convenient for you and gives you a little more of a leg to stand on in the sympathy fucking side of shit.
Right.
Don't do that. That's disgusting. I don't care if you belong to that community or not. Stop doing that shit. If you don't have actual fucking proof that they have absolutely discriminated against you, if you can't recall to me an instance of discrimination, because she never once does, she just says that they have. She's never once even recited a specific situation in which she was discriminated against.
Yeah.
She just says that she was. If it was truly happening to you and you were caring about speaking out and calling attention to this company's rampant workplace discrimination against people who are disabled and neurodivergent, You would have given specific instances to prove that fucking case. You did not. You took this as an opportunity to have a public fucking crash out and then disparage people and then tear some other person's life down and accuse them of and wish upon them heinous shit because they had the audacity to reference you in a YouTube video.
Like, yeah, right.
Fuck you. Like, I'm sorry. Fuck you. Learn some life lessons. Disappear from the internet. I agree with him. Disappear. Reset your fucking life, honey. You might be able to fix it. If you take all this shit down right now and you start fresh and you keep with your quilting, because she's very good at quilting. I'll give her that. She makes pretty quilts. She's very, very intricate with it. She could make a career out of that if she fucking wanted to. Remove this shit from the fucking internet. Erase it and fucking start over. You're young enough. But if you keep going down this path, you're going to fucking ruin your life forever. That's all I have to say.
Yeah,
because I have to leave in like 5 minutes.
Yes. Yeah, that's basically all my thoughts as well, where she's like you said, she's just digging herself in a deeper hole. And I feel like at this point she has her back against the wall, so all she feels like she can do is fight.
Yeah.
So it's just, girl, she's acting like she's like an advocate for something. You're not advocating for anything.
You're just making us all look bad.
You're just being a brat at this point.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm sorry that there will be no fun and fuckery. This entire thing was fuckery. I have yelled myself into a headache, and now I have to go to therapy and cry about it. So, so thank you for listening. I hope this was helpful at all. It helped me to yell about it because it made me very upset. This is what you do. You get on a podcast and bitch about people. You don't put it on TikTok.
Right.
Less people will see it on a podcast.
Right.
Anyway, thanks for listening. All the podcasty things are in the show notes. Links and everything will be in the show notes. And we will catch you next week. Goodbye, everybody. We love you.
Okay. Goodbye.
Goodbye.